guys, welcome back to Hack and Splash Page. I'm Tiffany, and thank you so much for joining me for my third episode. Today, actually, I was going to be doing another image book, one that a few of the commenters had mentioned and I had already had in my collection, but then when I was at my comic book store, I noticed there was a title there by Boom Studios, and I figured we've already done 2 image books, and it's really easy to pick up an image book, but I figured, you know what, let's try to spread the love around to the other publishers. So today, we're going to be doing Eternal #1, published by Boom Studios, written by William Harms, and art by Giovanni Valletta. Also coloring by Adam Metcalf. This, I believe, is a mini-series. On the top it says that it's issue 1 of 4, so I kind of get the feeling that we're only getting 4 of these. There's actually another alternate future book, but completely not along the lines of Bitch Planet, even a little bit, other than the fact that it's in the future. This book actually tells us what year it is. It's 2270. So, you know, kind of pretty far-flung future to some degree. And in this world, we have developed and embraced cloning with full-on consciousness transferal. So, kind of Ghost in the Shell, kind of not at all. But the society that, you know, exists in this world has completely gone for it overall. Throughout the first issue, we meet pretty much 3 groups who I guess the book's really going to be focusing on. New Life, which is the company who has developed the technology for cloning and really runs all of that. The Human Liberation Front, who is fighting against this, and they're actually fighting for the final group, who are the Pures. They're people who haven't done cloning at all, so they're just human-born, that's it. Like, they haven't done the transference, anything like that. And they're actually important to New Life, and we don't understand why just yet. We kind of get some hints, but not too much. It's more just, this first issue really does a lot of world building. And from each of these groups, we end up meeting essentially a character that's going to represent them to some degree. And I say some degree because from the New Life group, we meet Captain Rathman. He may not necessarily be representing New Life in the way that is being portrayed in the book so far, because he seems to be questioning what he's doing with this organization, since he's working more or less kind of security, kind of things that may not be morally on the up and up. So, but he's having this moment of crisis where he's not certain of what he's been doing is something that he should or wants to be, or wants to have his life really be about. From the Human Liberation Front, we meet Gail Jensen, who is, I think at the beginning of this, she's a Pure, but that changes in this issue, and it raises a very interesting point, which one of the other characters from New Life, I don't necessarily know the name of, but is much more of an antagonist than Captain Rathman, brings up about this idea of a person who knows that they can't die, and it's very interesting. I'll get into that a little bit later. I want to talk about just overall thoughts on the book. And then from the Pures, we meet Violet, who I thought was super cool looking, and for no particular reason whatsoever. Just thought she was really neat. But she's locked away in one of the New Life facilities, and we barely get to know her just as the issue wraps up. So, you know, this first issue really just does world building. It introduces you to what's happening in the world. It tells you, you know, kind of who your characters are. But again, if this is a mini-series, and this is only issue 1, I don't know where how quickly this book is going to progress in the next few, since, you know, we established quite a bit in this, and, you know, things are moving along fairly quickly, and I guess, honestly, like, it's fairly fast-paced in some sense, because of the fact that it's like we gotta move this along. You know, we have 4 issues to tell a whole story in. And actually, let's talk about telling stories. Why don't we talk about William Harms' writing? I don't know, I like his writing. It's fun. Like, he does a really good job. The dialogue, each character has a fairly, you know, different manner in which they speak. He also really seamlessly puts in tech terms, like, you know, science fiction, you know, technology that they have either created or like made up essentially for this book, and I don't really find it alienating. He doesn't do it a lot. He does it just enough to really like punctuate the work and where it's really appropriate. But it's not so over the edge that I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. Like, he's defining one tech term with a totally other made-up tech term. No, and this is just, you know, like, don't forget it's the future, so things have changed, so we're going to use them. And I think that's cool. I mean, the images that go along with it kind of make it self-explanatory to what's going on, especially with the names that they have selected for things. I feel like he really shines in his dialogue, and these really, like, there's this really, like, lovely quiet moments between characters. There's one that's, you know, it's very emotional, and he does, it's really simple dialogue. It's nothing really, like, over the top. It's simple, but it's perfect for the characters, and it's perfect for the moment. And I guess, like, it's just, I felt like that was really, like, where he shined brightest for me. I mean, overall it's great, but for me, that was a standout moment for me. But, you know, what is the writing without its art, especially in a comic book? So let's talk about Valletta's art with coloring by Metcalf, which again, I hope I'm saying correctly, because you know me. I'm not great with names. Valletta's art is really dark. His shadows are very pronounced, and it really helps to create this sort of dismal feeling to the world. This is not necessarily a great happy place, and definitely the art in this sets that tone. Again, the shadows, they're heavy, they're dark, they're deep blacks, but they're paired with this really interesting coloring by Metcalf. The colors are a little off kilter. They're not quite right. Like, it's almost like the correct sort of skin tone you'd think of, but then there's something underlying with it that isn't quite what you would expect, and that really helps to create this sort of really uneasy feeling in the world. You know, something's not quite right about this world, and it's interesting to pair that with the concept of having clones, because most of the people that you're dealing with in this book, other than the Pures, you know, have gone through this cloning process, and it's I don't know if they're doing that intentionally or not, where they're using this coloring to kind of call into question, like, you know, is it still you after you've been cloned? Like, are you still like 100% a human at this point? Like, what? Like, I don't know if they're trying to say something like that, or if it's just a really interesting coloring choice, because it's very lovely. And for me, where I really liked it, like his coloring the most, honestly, was when paired with Valletta's backgrounds. There's something really beautiful about these super dark, kind of like I said, dismal scenes sometimes. And like I said, like in that moment where there's that really sort of sad, emotional moment between a couple of the characters, you see that background cross-hatching, and like, I don't know, it just really punctuated the whole movie. That, like, in the book, that really all came together for me. A lot of panels do have excellent composition to begin with, and he pays attention to the background stuff. Like, there's definitely stuff in the background. It's not super detailed, but there's definitely enough there that you get a sense of what it is, but you're still focused on the what's actually important about the panel. And I think that's really cool. Honestly, my thoughts about the book, I'm not gonna lie, I really picked it up because of the fact that I was like, I keep doing image books, and I know I have other boom titles. I've got The Bunker, which I do want to do. But, you know, just, you know, as I'm getting my feet wet here, like, it's a little bit easier for me to start with the single issues, and then hopefully, as I get more comfortable to develop doing larger stories in the show. I don't know how we want to do that just yet. So I really picked it up because of that, because I was like, I want to do another Studios book. And you know what? The fact that this is possibly a mini-series, I don't know, that really appeals to me. Because I feel like I know that there's definitely going to be an end to this. It's not going to be canceled, hopefully, on me. And I didn't know anything about it. I knew nothing about it when I picked it up. I mean, the cover, I really do like the cover. It's really, like, it's lovely. I kind of like these graphic images, so that really did appeal to me. But honestly, when I first started reading it, at first I was like, oh, this kind of feels like scenes that I had already, I don't know, that were kind of homages to other books to some degree. Like, I was like, oh, this kind of feels like this kind of feels like that. And then I realized that, like, partway through the book, I really did care about these characters, because I don't know Harm's writing. I don't know what, like, he tends to like to do, or like what like twists and turns might be ahead for us. When I read it through the second time, I realized that there's this really great underlying question through this book, and it really is about life and death, and a society that knows that it no longer can die, and how does that affect society and culture overall. And actually, even in the first page, it's like a news show on, and it really brings up some very interesting questions and some interesting ideas of where society has turned to since they realized that death doesn't mean anything anymore. I also realized too that, like, you know, I don't really know much about New Life other than they're not treating these pures very well. But the Human Liberation Front, you know, like, I'm just like, well, no, they're being painted as the protagonists here. But the fact is, there's plenty of people out there in this world, especially, that would not support them at all. You know, if they're trying to take down this New Life facility, or the New Life company in general, and the idea of cloning, I feel like there's going to be plenty of people in the society like this that are going to be pretty upset about that. So I realized that, like, I was just going along initially like, oh yeah, no, like, they're the protagonist, that's the antagonist, and there you go, cut and dry. And I realized that the book probably isn't all that cut and dry at all. And I feel like shame on me for making assumptions when I really shouldn't have. So overall, like, I'm pretty interested to see where this goes. Again, it's 1 of 4. It's only 4. It's going to be 4 issues. The first one just came out, but I'm looking forward to issue 2, and I really can't get away. I can't wait to see where this story goes. It's interesting. Again, I picked this up kind of on a whim, and it turned out to be a fun ride. So, you know, give it a shot. You know, if you like futuristic books like this, or, you know, you're interested in just kind of a shorter story, just something to jump into, you know, I'd give it a shot, definitely. Why not? You know? What do you guys think about a society where people know that they can't die? How do you think that would change the way people act? Or even more personally, how do you think it would change how you act? How would you act in your day-to-day or in the long term? You know, do you feel like you'd be more adventurous? Do you feel like you would be like, well, what does it matter? I've got all the time in the world. I know that in the book they haven't really established if it costs anything or what it costs to have a clone and to have the consciousness transference. So, I mean, that would probably make some sort of difference, right, if you knew that? And if you guys have read this, let me know, because I didn't even know about this, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about it. But that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching Hack and Splash Page, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Damn it. Yeah.
I think he looks fine.
I hate Cat Beast.
He looks...
I like 90s Beast. 90s Beast is the best one.
I like 90s Beast too, but there's something to be said about Cat Beast.
Well, Cat Beast isn't Cat Beast anymore. Now he looks like a homunculus.
Oh, I know.
Looks stupid.
Wait. Maybe I haven't seen that.
Somebody actually says, I think in Avengers number 40, though.
Yeah.
I liked you better as Cat Beast.
Are we done? I like you better as Cat Beast. End.
You looked cooler as a cat.
Where was I?